What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 14 matchup of the 2025 NFL season, the first one of their season against their heated rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh traveling to Baltimore to play the Ravens on the road for the lead of the division. Both teams came in with a 6-6 equal record. Baltimore was listed ahead of us on the division record and playoff hunt record because of, I think it's the conference record, either conference or record inside the division. Baltimore was slightly ahead, but Pittsburgh playing the Ravens in a really high-stakes game. We still play them again later on this season with us at home, and obviously there is still, 4 weeks to go. But with us having the same record, getting that one-game division lead plus the head-to-head tiebreaker to get yourself in first place in the division this late in the season is a really, really big game. High-stakes game, division rival on the road. This was a Steelers-Ravens game. It was a 5-point game, 27-22. Higher scoring than you would expect from Steelers versus Ravens, but it was what you would expect. It was close down the wire. It was back and forth in the end. It was a lot of injuries. It was cold. It was physical. There was a lot of hits. There was some chippiness. It was a typical down-to-the-wire Steelers-Ravens game with a little more offense than you would expect. Pittsburgh comes out these first couple of plays on defense. Baltimore comes down, gets like 7-yard run, 6-yard run, 7-yard run, using the same plays, and I go, here we go again. After giving up a record 260 to Buffalo last week, an all-time Steelers Stadium record rushing to Buffalo, Baltimore comes out doing the same thing, and I'm going, oh God, they're going to kill us just like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson killed us in the last 2 games of last season, the last head-to-head regular season game and the playoff game when they demolished us on the ground. Same formula they had last year, same formula Buffalo had. Pittsburgh, after those first couple of plays, starts to realize Lamar Jackson is still a bit injured and a bit slower and banged up from the injury he had earlier this season. So they start kind of crowding the line, kind of playing the box a little more, taking the spies off Lamar and using the extra players to crash down in the run game. So whenever the tackles go to pull to one side to rush the ball, TJ Watt and Highsmith, but especially Watt, are running downhill and just crashing into the running back and just stopping the run game. So the Steelers start to really limit what the Ravens can do, and Lamar starts to have to rely on more regular conventional passing plays, less running with his own legs, more guys crowding the line, crowding Derrick Henry, and making Lamar throw against a pretty physical outside Steelers cornerback set. Pittsburgh comes out and plays pretty physically on the outside, does a really nice job for the most part, playing against the Ravens passing game and kind of making them one-dimensional or no-dimensional early on. Baltimore gets only 3 points for the majority of the first half up until the very end of the half. They get a 6-point touchdown, miss the extra point. But Pittsburgh goes into the half with an 8-point lead and the ball coming out of the half, and we feel like we're in pretty good control. The first half, for the most part, goes toward us. The problem is Baltimore figures out on the last drive of their first half that Lamar Jackson can run a little bit. He's feeling a little healthy in his legs. He's feeling a little safe to start running, which then changes the entire portion of the game on defense, because now, again, we got to start putting spies down there. We got to start having our middle linebackers and our outside linebackers all reading Lamar Jackson and picking the right thing to do, as they ride the play. Do you stay with Derrick Henry or do you go outside and try to stop Lamar Jackson? And that means we get less pressure in the passing game and wind up getting a whole lot of issues trying to figure out which running back to stop. Once Lamar can start using his legs, that means you're taking guys out of the rush. You're kind of playing more conservative on the pass. You're letting Lamar able to not only fake you out on the RPOs, the inside handoff or keeper plays, which Pittsburgh always falls for. TJ Watt is not really good at those. We don't scheme well against those, and our guys don't always read those well. And that's what they started doing in the second half and started turning it into a back and forth scoring game. That said, Pittsburgh on offense came out with a bit of a change. So Roman Wilson was a healthy scratch in this game. Pittsburgh came in this week and made a few big moves, putting Asante Samuel on the main roster, which I didn't see him play very much today at corner, but they go ahead and cut Darius Slay. Darius Slay mutually agrees to part ways with Pittsburgh, so Pittsburgh cuts Slay after a failure of a season. He goes and plays for Buffalo now. Pittsburgh then takes that extra spot and signs Adam Thielen, who just asked to be mutually parted ways with in Minnesota, so he could end up on a contender. Why he wound up here, I have no idea. But he winds up coming to Pittsburgh off waivers. So Pittsburgh brings in Adam Thielen and also decides to make Roman Wilson a healthy scratch and brings up Marquez Valdez-Scantling off the practice squad to the main roster. So Roman Wilson and Keyshawn Williams are healthy scratches, inactive for the game, and Adam Thielen and MVS are kind of your two other starters along with DK Metcalf. So the team looks very different on offense. And while those guys didn't do much of anything at all. I mean, our second leading receiver in this game was Jaylen Warren. Our third leading receiver was still Calvin Austin with only one catch, but it was one big play. And the two new guys out there, and we'll talk about stats here in a second, but the two new guys, Thielen and MVS, coming up, wind up with only one catch for 4 yards combined. Valdez-Scantling gets one target for no catches. Thielen gets 2 targets for 1 catch for 4 yards. So stat-wise, they do nothing. But size-wise, putting Austin on the bench more, keeping Wilson off the field entirely. I don't support those moves, and Austin still showed what he can do with one big target downfield. But it does make the guys cover DK Metcalf a lot differently. DK Metcalf gets more space. He gets less, more one-on-ones, less double coverage, and it allows him to go off. So let's talk about stats, and we'll get into the game. I'll just say it now. I already mentioned the score, but Pittsburgh wins this game. They hold off on defense on some pretty controversial stuff. We'll talk about Baltimore getting screwed here in some ways in this review as well, but Pittsburgh holds off to win 27-22, and no matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at Pittsburgh's defense, still allowing over 200 yards rushing. Baltimore being allowed to come back. Pittsburgh getting lucky on several scoring calls that changed a lot of the score of the game. No matter how you look at this game, Pittsburgh still gets a road division win against Baltimore. Now gets the 1-game lead for the division and the tiebreaker head-to-head late in the season. Pittsburgh gets a gigantic road win here. A road division win in December is big no matter what you think about it. So Pittsburgh goes to 7-6 and gets the win 27-22. Let's talk about stats and we'll go over more stuff. Aaron Rodgers' best game in a long time. I mentioned for the 4 games in a row, the last 4 games he played in, plus the Mason Rudolph game, we didn't look good on offense. Best game here in 5 or 6 weeks offensively, winding up with 27 points. Aaron Rodgers goes 23 of 34 for 284 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. So Rodgers, yes, old man Rodgers, Grandpa Rodgers with a rushing touchdown, does the discount double check across the waist, gets in on a bootleg from about 10 yards out with a rushing touchdown, also gets a nice passing touchdown, nice and easy, to Jaylen Warren wide open on a little check down the sidelines, and Warren just runs for it. So Rodgers comes out with 284 and 2 total touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. No turnovers, no sacks, no picks, no fumbles, no sacks. Line played a pretty clean game for Rodgers. Offensively, best we could hope for in 5 weeks. Rushing the ball, nothing. Baltimore shut us down rushing, made us one-dimensional. Our 2 running backs were most effective catching the ball. But Jaylen Warren, 8 carries for 13 yards. That's 1.6 per carry. It's our worst in a long time. And Kenneth Gainwell, 4 carries for 15 yards, 3.8, but still only 15 yards. So Pittsburgh rushing the ball winds up with, under 30, plus Rodgers' run. So just over 30, I guess, with Rodgers' run counted in there. But man, a bad rushing game. That being said, Kenneth Gainwell is being used in so many different ways. Not only is he obviously a rusher that can make guys miss in different ways than Warren does, but he also can be a receiver out of the backfield, a receiver in the slot, and lining up as a receiver on the outside now a lot in this game. With our changing at wide receiver, kind of makes Jaylen Warren less usable. It makes Gainwell kind of a 3-down back and makes us use Jaylen Warren less, which really stinks. I hate that because Jaylen Warren's the better overall back and the bigger home run hitting player, even though Gainwell is so elusive with the different stuff of what he can do. He's a nice player to have in the system, and I can justify him being the number 2 back here now that I couldn't earlier in the season. But Jaylen Warren only getting 8 carries for 13 yards, man, it was good to have Warren out there at receiver for his big play. But DK Metcalf receiving 7 catches, 148 yards. Really, really huge winds up with about 98 in the first half, and then gets another 50 in the second half. They started taking chances. First pass play down the field, first play overall was a go ball to Metcalf for 40-something yards. Metcalf gets a one-on-one, gets it, and goes. Another one for 28 on a go ball down the field. Another one that Rodgers avoided a sack and got to the outside and threw to Metcalf, which he then streaked across and got a 48-yard play. So 3 20-plus yard plays today out of DK Metcalf, 7 for 148. It's his best game by far as a Steeler, and it's the kind of game you think you want to see from DK Metcalf every single week. He is an elite receiver that is one of the strongest receivers in the NFL, and the combination of power and speed that very few guys have. You could say Jamar Chase, you could say A.J. Brown, maybe Justin Jefferson. There's few guys that have the physical attributes that DK has. And again, even though the outside guys, Scanling did nothing, and Thielen had 1 catch for 4 yards, having the bigger guys on the outside did open up DK Metcalf for this kind of game. So it's an interesting change. Having Roman Wilson being a healthy scratch was kind of a head scratcher, especially considering that I think I saw Scotty Miller out there for a play. It's pretty interesting. I don't like him not playing, and I don't like Calvin being on the bench more, but it did help DK, if nothing else. Jaylen Warren's your second leading receiver, 3 for 49 and a touchdown. That was a little check down play. Baltimore blitzed and missed their assignment. Had Warren and Pat Freiermuth running wide open down the field. Rodgers took the check down to Warren, who ran 30 yards for a touchdown, another 20-plus yard play. And then Calvin Austin, your third leading receiver, 1 catch for 31 yards, has only 2 targets today. One was a sideline play that he didn't get the guy's hands on the ball. The second one was a go ball, one-on-one, got good separation, ran a good route, made a nice catch. So Calvin Austin on 2 targets gets 1 for 31, showing that he still belongs on this team as a wide receiver. He's still somebody that can make it work as a guy that can play on the outside and make big plays. So winds up with more yards than the 2 new guys combined, but it makes you wonder how they're going to go moving forward. You can't play everyone. Scotty Miller, I guess, being healthy now for a few plays out there. I think it was Scotty that I saw. Skoranek, they're still going to play. And obviously you've got your 2 new guys. MVS doing nothing might change things next week, and we'll see if we get Roman Wilson back or not. But Roman Wilson is open a lot more than most of the other guys on this team. They just don't find him in stride. So we'll see what happens with the future. But for today, DK Metcalf making big plays, Warren with a long touchdown, Austin with a long catch. So 27 points, you can't argue with that. Offensive line plays a pretty clean game overall. No sacks allowed. Rushing was nothing, but Baltimore played good defense on that. Not a good rush blocking game, but a great pass blocking game. Andrus Peat, I'm going to give a negative mark for the 2 penalties. He had 1 holding call and 1 maybe either illegal downfield or something like that. But Peat has 2 negative plays on penalties. Also gets hurt. Peat was playing for the injured Broderick Jones, who's out for, I think, this game plus 2 more, still on IR. Peat played pretty well last week. It was kind of 50-50 this week with the 2 penalties, but him getting hurt then brought Dylan Cook into the game. Once again, that changes a lot of things because also Darnell Washington gets hurt. Both Peat and Washington go down with concussions in this game. Washington makes 1 nice catch for a good gain and then has a concussion. So Peat and Washington going out of this game, plus Darnell being out coming into the game, Broderick Jones being out coming into the game, no Broderick Jones, no Andrus Peat, no Darnell Washington now means Dylan Cook is in there. Spencer Anderson is in there more traditionally. We don't have the guys we need for that big run blocking package that we use, with Darnell being the extra tight end and Spencer being the extra lineman and Spencer going to fullback and Darnell being used as a blocker and receiver. We don't have the availability for that, so the running game went way down today. Overall on defense, 22 points allowed. Again, it was 3 points for most of the first half till the last drive. That last drive, Baltimore started figuring out what to do and got over 200 yards rushing on the ground again today. And the passing game overall was very good for us on defense, but they started finding a few soft zone things to beat some guys. We came into this game, obviously Deshaun Elliott's out for the year. We came into this game without Kyle Duggar, who's been very good at safety. Solid pickup. He's been kind of our anchor. He's played about as good as Elliott usually does. He was hurt for this game. So we had two guys playing, Chuck Clark, who I wasn't impressed by today, and Peppers. Jabril Peppers comes in and gets the start, and that's what I called for. He got the start and didn't do anything terrible, but nothing great either. Did get beat on what looked like a soft zone play. It was an over-the-top play that he either could have chosen to take the guy man-on-man or come back to the soft part of the zone. I don't know if that was a him call or a scheme call, but he got beat by Flowers. Zay Flowers got three big plays in the second half of this game. So that's when the pass coverage got a little weaker. James Pierre plays a good game. Big positive for him. Gets an interception in this game. Had a nice breakup as well and was pretty physical on the outside. It's his third good game out of the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's played pretty well. It's his best stretch of his career by far. Lamar Jackson tries to run and then throw a little floater over the defender. Pierre sees it, jumps up, makes an athletic play for a pick. That's very nice. 2 sacks today, not enough when you're playing a team like this to get them in the second and third and long. But we had 2. One was Brandon Nichols with a sack in the first half, and then Highsmith gets the game sealer. Baltimore's driving down trying to go for a game-winning touchdown. Highsmith gets the sack and ends the game. So 2 sacks by those guys. Like I said, Pierre, big positive. Nichols, big positive. Had 2 pass breakups. One I think was in the end zone, and then had a tackle in the run game, a sack, and then another breakup later in the game. Nichols is playing more good than bad. Overall, I've been kind of inconsistent with Nichols. He's been solid at points and bad at points, depending on who he's playing week to week. He's kind of been going back and forth between slot and outside, depending on injuries. Again, Samuel was on this team this week and was seemingly healthy, but I didn't see him play much. While I thought Pierre and Nichols both had good games today, though, on the outside. Those guys were good. Highsmith, I'm going to give a positive for the sack. Had 7 tackles today, leading the way for us tackle-wise, too. So early in the run game, both Watt and Highsmith making good plays. I gave Watt a positive 2, mostly for his 5 tackles in this game. Downhill on the running back. Early on, Pittsburgh had them figured out as far as the downhill running scheme went. Once Lamar was able to run and do some play fakes and make them put a spy out there, had Watt going for a couple of the wrong reads in the second half, though. Patrick Queen, the announcers were big on Queen's game today. I thought it was a positive/negative. I thought he had some good plays, some bad plays. He had 3 different plays that he had one-on-one with Lamar Jackson where Lamar was in his grasp and he missed him 3 times. Very similar to last week with Josh Allen. We had him in our grasp like 4 or 5 times and couldn't sack him. Same thing for Lamar Jackson, except for Josh Allen's more of a power guy to break sacks, and Lamar is more of a speed guy to break sacks. But Queen had 3 reads on him. One was the quarterback spy that he came up too much and allowed a touchdown in the back of the behind him in the end zone. 2 others were sack plays that he had good blitzes on and just couldn't finish off the sack because Lamar is too quick for him. So those were negative, but Queen did come back in, got injured and came back, made one really nice play on a pass breakup or kind of an errant throw, playing pretty good defense and coverage, and 2 others were tackles. One was a tackle on Derrick Henry in the run game, and one I think was a tackle on Flowers on a chase and tackle on a 3rd down. So, ups and downs for Queen today, positive/negative. JPJ, I give a negative 2. He's the one kind of defender besides Chuck Clark that I think didn't play very well in the pass coverage, mostly on the 2 penalties. One was a bad call, in my opinion. They called JPJ for two either pass interference or like holding calls. I think one was a bad call. The other one was a really good call on JPJ holding way downfield. On a 3rd down, we got ourselves off the field on 3rd down, and JPJ's penalty away from the ball kept us on the field. So negative there. Bad day for JPJ on the penalties. Malik Harrison got injured as well. We got to keep him on the field. He's a very good run stuffer. He's a very good transitional guy to bring in against running teams or on running downs. He's played very good as a thumper. He got hurt in this game. We'll see what happens to him. We got lucky again. The final score was 27-22. Baltimore got 2 big scoring calls against them. One was on a field goal we made from Boswell that they called illegal leverage, where a guy springs off of our center to get to the attempted field goal block. And I don't think it was illegal leverage at all. I think he put one hand on the guy and picked it up pretty quick as he was lunging toward the field goal block. I don't think that was illegal leverage at all, but it wound up taking our field goal off the board, giving us an automatic 1st down, which we then went on to score a touchdown on. So it took 3 points off the board, replaced it with 7. So it gave us 4 extra points on a call that I thought was bad. which again, for a 5-point game, that changes Baltimore's last drive to a field goal for the win instead of a touchdown. So that's a huge play. And then the other one is Isaiah Likely. They used the middle of the field when Lamar would hold the ball and kind of go up in the pocket and fade back and go up and kind of decide whether he wanted to run or pass. And that got us in the second half big time. And Likely, who caught a touchdown on the same play earlier, had another touchdown that JPJ knocked out. It was a catch in his hands, 2 steps down, and the third foot coming down for a third step, which equals a football move. JPJ knocked out. I thought he had the ball already for a football move. To me, a catch in the end zone with 2 feet down and going toward a third step is a football move. I would have said Baltimore touchdown on that, to be honest. So they got robbed of 7 points there. So Baltimore gets robbed, in my opinion, as a Steeler fan, objectively, Baltimore gets robbed of 7 points there, 6 points there at least, plus 4 points on the other play. That's 10 points, plus the extra point for the touchdown. So Pittsburgh really gets lucky there, in my opinion. And they also got a Rashad Bateman drop on a play that could have been a touchdown if he didn't drop the ball. So they get unlucky on that one as well. But anyway, Pittsburgh survives. Boswell 2 for 2 on field goals. Good day for him. Waitman 4 punts for 197 yards. That's 49.2 yard per punt average with 1 punt inside the 20. Pretty good day for him overall. 49.2 is a nice average, especially in the cold weather. And 2 guys I want to call out on special teams for very good tackles on special teams defense are Ben Skoranek and Carson Bruner. Ben Skoranek gets 1 really nice block on a good pass play today. He also gets 1 nice catch, a 15-yard catch downfield, sliding to his knees. Makes a nice catch, and then gets 2 really nice tackles on special teams. Carson Bruner gets 3 nice special teams tackles. He is an ace out there. As a rookie, he's made himself a commodity on special teams defense. So shout outs to Boz, Waitman, Skoranek, and Bruner there. So Pittsburgh holds on, gets a road division win in December, gets the tiebreaker against Baltimore, gets the 1-game lead against Baltimore. Big win. Pittsburgh now heads to a Monday night game next week. There's still 4 weeks to go, and the schedule's getting tough. So what do you guys think? Who impressed you and why? Tell me in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to these Pittsburgh Steelers deep dives. Let's talk about this game and look forward to next week. Big win for us today. Go Steelers.